very slow but very alive, because the negative reaction is instantaneous relaxation of the hand and the fingers. So what happened is, inside you're very nervous, you're very active, It's always explosive. What you it's instantaneous, and you have to be very, very alert to be able to do this correctly. Anyway, the result is a leggero color, as it's written by the composer in the music. And so on. Okay, so we can pass to the fourth variation. Here is completely different, and this is the way how Beethoven changes the colors and the technical problems and so forth. So here you have staccato in the middle voice and in the bass. That is what is written. So how do you do this staccato? It's not like that. Not the same qualities, not the same problem. So it's a finger staccato, but much less articulated. It's done with the hand, and fingers just follow this impulsion coming from the hand. Not a finger staccato. Finger staccato is this. This is finger staccato. But here now, the movement comes from the forearm. So it's a totally different situation. The left hand plays a little portando. And the result we have three qualities here. This note, that, and this. So in fact, three colors. Now we don't play so slow then. There it is. Okay, very good. Then we pass to variation number 5. There you are. So here, this is a hand staccato. It comes from the wrist. We throw the hand like this to prepare. I'm sure when we really play, it's much smaller, the movement much shorter, But to prepare, it's a work of the whole hand. But then it will be very reduced. And here the same thing. In the left hand. But here there is a special problem. It's the distance between the first note and the chords that follow. And here. See? It's very far. How do we do that? How do we solve this difficulty? We have to throw the hand. Goes very fast reaction. It's a kind of a rebound. No? Very bound. And when it gets here, we have 4. How to get this very, very close to each other, because it's very fast. It's a small movement from the whole arm, the forearm. And the finger should not abandon the keys, you know. We can prepare like this. It's because we have to really know where to go, have a good position, and the 3 notes should be in equal importance, all very clear, so we prepare. But when we play, we should not leave the key at all. No? There's a movement inside the keyboard. There you are. So, but the right hand goes like this. And here's legato. So we change the finger here. We replace here the finger to link. Always the same fingering. Name shows. Always this replacement of finger here to link. And here there's one more. Because you're going here. And here is not linked, so you can leave and go there freely. So, problem number 1, the left hand with these chords. Problem number 2, the right hand with this first part, and then and a different color. All these things have different colors. This is one color. And here. Every time is a different color. And when we get to the end, so how do you do that? Very legato. What I used to do is even to glide. Color also. Yeah? It's not the same that was here. Yeah? Here it's a different color. And the movement is really very legato, very linked to the keys. Sound, very, very different from the rest. Very good. Now we reach variation number 6. Here is very difficult. It is a very difficult variation because we cannot relax at all. It has to be played with a fixed hand, you know, and even like a grip, you know. So it's not very, very nervous, very masculine, very even aggressive. I feel a bit aggressive here, you know. Now, how to get this? How you learn this? So, my teacher said, you play like this. There's no relaxation at all. It's a very hard, very unpleasant form, touch form. And you don't have any stability on the keyboard. You have to hold your arms and your hands outside the keyboard, and you create a kind of a new stability outside. That means stability on your arms. It's your arms that give you this kind of line, you know, guide, that guide your movements. So you have to keep it. How do you keep? The secret is to hold your arms against your body, against your trunk. Then you have this stability. The stability comes from this. Then you can do this, no problem, because you were holding here, see? And maintain this very unpleasant your body follows, see? Otherwise you lose your stability. And stability really comes from this. And then you can play as it should, as it's called to be, you know? It's a very masculine, I find. Masculine and very, very hard, you know, very hard. So, you see, from the beginning until now, how many different things have happened, you know, how many solicitations to your imagination, to your adaptation, you know, that your body has to act differently, your hand has to act differently, your fingers have to have different behaviors according to each one. We are just number 6. We haven't even advanced much and already so rich, so many experience, so many learning things, you know. Here comes a new one, variation number 7. Very different from what just happened, very calm.
I want to take a look at the way Philip Glass uses arpeggios. Chords can be expressed in, I think, of 3 ways. The first one is super easy. It's called a block chord. I play the chord and just kind of like hang on to all the notes. And then there's the option of the alternating bass, or just I think of it as alternating, which creates a great rhythm. And of course, pianists use it all the time. Guitarists, thumb chord, right? Now, the last idea is the arpeggio, 1 note at a time. And I'm just going up and down. When you just kind of go up and down the chord, that's a simple arpeggio. And if you have an arpeggiator built into a keyboard, or maybe a MIDI plugin that arpeggiates, that's what it's going to do. And I think the earliest examples of arpeggios in Glass's music are like that. Here's a piece called Mad Rush. This is page 2. Let's look at measure 29 right there. So the right hand goes, while the left hand and he just changes the chord. The right hand changes to this. And the left hand changes chord. Not a figured arpeggio, just out and in and out and in. In fact, Glass used that technique in his earliest Glass ensemble works. And I think part of it has to do with this. The instrument that he most frequently would use, it was this kind of like old-fashioned organ. He used Farfisa organs, Hammond organs. Here I'm using a Vermona sample, which sounds a little bit like a Farfisa. This is what I was doing in the left hand. This is what I was doing in the right hand. Just a different version of the chord starting on a different note together. Now I can get pretty fast since it's not touch sensitive. I don't have to worry about how hard I hit things. And I think that a lot of that fast arpeggio stuff in the early Glass pieces comes directly out of the fact that we're playing a non-touch sensitive instrument. Well, for me, the Cani-Scozzi theme, what he uses in Cani-Scozzi is an organ as well, only it is just crazy more beautiful. And also he uses this thing that I don't know if this is a really good term for it, I call a figured arpeggio. So to really understand what a figured arpeggio is, look at the top line here. There are added notes to the chord. It's a D minor chord, but the G is added. And as the chords change, it changes a little bit. And then this moment right here is what I call a figuration here. This is what the organ does those last 5 minutes. Here's the figure. So beautiful. Of course, the second thing that Glass is great at is counterpoint. He studied in France with Nadia Boulanger, probably the greatest counterpoint teacher of the 20th century. And you can see right here this beautiful ascending line as the right-hand figure descends. It just kills, right? Well, it goes on, it repeats. Basically, it goes from a D minor version to a C, to a version of G, and then this A with the figure. And now the bass drops in, just doubling the bass. I had to transcribe this. I couldn't find a chart for it anywhere. Well worth it, though. And here the bass, F, E, D, A, D. And that moment right there where the ascent D, E, F, G goes against the F, E, D, A. Where are you? There we go. It is beautiful counterpoint, contrary motion as the figure on top goes. It is so satisfying. You know, deceptively simple because the experience of it is so rich. If you're like me, you can't help but think about Hans Zimmer's score to Interstellar when you hear this. This is from 1982. Okay, last thing to look at. Glass, of course, has scored many movies, and one of my favorite scores of his is the score to The Hours. Well, since we've been talking so much about modal exchange, I thought I'd taken advantage of that. And this is the last thing we'll look at. But check this out. So Glass starts his, here's one of his pieces, tearing herself away. It goes like this. And then modal exchange. And then, you know, that is basically how it works for the whole piece. So let's look at what happened there. The piece begins with this gorgeous kind of like X-Files arpeggio. We're in A minor. And then right here at this moment, the A becomes A flat and the E becomes E flat. We've just changed spellings of those two notes. That's all we've done. And yet we get this effect. We're now in, we can't really tell. Are we in A flat major? Are we in D flat major? Are we in E flat major? We can't tell. We only have 4 notes. But in any case, that shift, so beautiful. It's modal exchange. And it happens several times in the course of this piece, although he does pick up and move to other key centers. Well, Glass is an example of a composer who used straightforward arpeggios, just the kind that you'll find on your arpeggiator, either it's hardware or a plug-in, and also figured arpeggios. In Mad Rush, he uses the same metrical length again and again, and then one measure he'll clip